Good morning. Well, we're here back in Jennings State Forest, part of our Sweaty Summer series, and here with our Jacksonville hiking family. Yeah. So we dragged some people out here for the summertime. There's the sun. Ow, that hurts. We're going to be doing the crosscut to Pioneer to Dunn's Farm to Sawyer loop today, and as we're cruising along, I figured it'd be a good time to talk about how to take good care of your feet and your tootsies when you're out here hiking in Florida, especially on the Florida Trail. So anyway, great to be back out on the trail. It is August 3rd, I think, so it should be pretty toasty today, and we're just going to cruise along, enjoy a beautiful day in the forest. Let's get going. So the reason I was thinking about talking about our feet on the Florida Trail and other trails in Florida is it's a pretty unique environment, and I see a lot of questions out there. I see a lot of questions, especially on the Florida Trail Facebook pages and stuff. What should I wear, especially people who are coming here from other places? So just to talk a little bit about most of the habitat in Florida, which we'll see today. Right now we're in a pine flatwoods. This is restored land, so this is what the land should look like in this area of North Florida. You got palmettos, you got longleaf pines, and yeah, you got sand. So as you can imagine, sand is a big part of the equation here in Florida. That doesn't play so much into your shoes as it does your socks, which we'll talk about as we go a little bit further on. I'm not a podiatrist, I don't play one on TV. This is my own personal experiences, and this is things that I've learned from other people who have hiked and that I followed and that I'm friends with on, some of the best bets. Take good care of your tootsies when you're hiking here in Florida. The rest of the gang's up ahead of me, so I gotta speed up and catch them. Let's go. Okay, we just finished a crosscut, which even early in the morning is like living on the sun, and we made it here to Pioneer Trail. Let's cruise along Pioneer for a while. We'll check in a minute. So some other terrain to think about with your feet and your tootsies when you're hiking in Florida on the Florida Trail or any other trail is this kind of stuff. See, a lot of forest, a lot of pine needles and brush, and kind of pointless ups and downs. A lot of ups and downs when you get into these ravines and creeks. So you do need to have some traction. And heading down. Now I'm heading up, and you do run into a lot of roots. Not so much rocks, but a lot of roots. And this kind of stuff. So when you're deciding on your footwear, that's something else for you to think about. Let's keep going. All right, so Hunter, let's look at Hunter's shoes. See, look, it's got zero drop.
Zero drop, barefoot.
So what about those shoes, man?
It's not great on rocks like this.
Yeah?
But I like them.
You like them?
Yeah. The
Good on your feet.
wide toe box.
Wide toe box. So in Florida, no problems with mud, no problems with sand. Same old stuff, right?
Sand gets in the shoe.
Yeah.
And I'll get them on my feet, but that's whatever.
Yep. Cool. Thanks. Now the other terrain that we have here in Florida is water. Well, we're not going to need to hike through any mud today, so you can make it across there. You got to have your feet prepared for very long sections of water in much of the Florida Trail. So that's really the big third one. That's kind of the big three. So kind of foresty with roots, sand, and water and mud. Some of the water will have mud underneath it too. So as we're talking about our footwear here in Florida and taking care of our feet, those are the three big concerns as I see them. So I'll share with you and maybe some of the other people I'm hiking with what we choose to use, and some best bets I've learned from other people as we get further down the video here. And hopefully that'll answer some questions for some folks. Anyway, Everyone's ahead of me. I gotta zoom and catch up. All right, so let's talk about the shoe thing. So a lot of people have different opinions, but generally you're gonna see folks with shoes like Hunter's right there, or shoes like mine. These are Hoka Speed Goats, and any kind of trail running, and they actually make trail hiking shoes now, really something that you want to consider in Florida. Here's what I will tell you. A lot of experts on this, from people who have survived it, do not wear waterproof shoes in Florida. If you wear waterproof shoes in Florida, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because you are going to end up in water and then your shoes stay full of water. Anyway, don't know where that cut off, but yeah, waterproof shoes, you definitely don't want to be wearing those. A lot of people do wear boots, and they wear kind of trail running boots and regular hiking boots. Again, that's going to be an issue for you when you're in water, but if you're willing to take them off in deeper water, then you're good to go. And there are people who will hike with trail sandals like Chakas and stuff, which I'm going to try out this next season, see how that goes. But generally, you're going to want to have shoes that breathe well, that dry out quickly, and that don't hold water. So, and because of the lack of boulders and stuff, really having heavy-duty boots is definitely something you don't need here in Florida. So we're going to get back on the trail for a little while, and then we'll talk a little bit about socks. Exciting stuff on this video today.
Hey man,
hey Pop-Tart.
About shoes is make sure you got lugs on the bottom of your feet, so you got some grip in the mud and rocks and roots.
Excellent point from Pop-Tart. You definitely need some grip on the bottom of your shoes. Mine are starting to get kind of old. Kind of hard for you to see there, but it's time for a new pair for me. But when you start losing that grip, it gets slippy and slidey big time. Especially some of the boardwalks are real slippery and a lot of roots and mud. So anyway, we're here at the Dunn's Farm connection between the Dunn's Farm and the Pioneer, and we're going to decide where we're going from here. So let's get back on. Okay, well, we're off trail now, and I made it back home to Casa de Middleburg. We're here in our beautiful backyard. Like the whirligigs? Anyway, time now to talk about inside the shoes. So what you ought to be, or what I use and what I suggest that you might want to try and use inside your shoes when you're hiking here in Florida. So first of all, we've got the Hokas, and I'm going to slip this guy off, and I think you're going to be able to see, just in a short hike, we got some sand going on in there. Now these socks, you can see there, there's sand on them and everything. These are Injinjis, and I have weird toes, so I found toe socks to work well for me. I have some friends who are like, no way, they kill me, they're murderous, I can't wear toe socks. But for me, they work really well. And I kind of discovered the Injinjis. These are Injinji medium running socks. I'm probably going to get some light ones. They do have heavier ones too, but they do contain Merino wool. So as we talked about water in Florida, Merino wool is pretty important. But these are what I wear generally, kind of everyday hiking socks. So that's them. We'll move on to the next ones. And one other thing to tell you about these, as you can see right there between the toes, there's already a lot of sand there. Any Merino wool sock is going to hold sand in it. So when you take these off, you need to make sure that you pull the toes out and you rinse them really well before you put them in the washer, or they'll have embedded sand, which is like having sandpaper on your feet. So just another little best bet with these guys, but I love them. They work really well for me. So let's get talk next about what you do if you're going to be spending a bunch of time in water. So for me, when we are getting ready to head through the swampy lands and hiking through water in Florida, and for other people that I know that have done the Florida Trail and other trails in Florida, this has worked really well for them. I start out with these guys. These are Injinji toe liners. So they're a very thin liner, and they have, you know, like gloves. They have toes for your toes. Now, if that's me kind of with my weird toes and everything, these work really well for me though, and they kind of help mitigate the sand issue, because after, on top of my Injinji toe liners, I have these Merino wool. You can see the front there, Darn Toughs. These are light, okay, they're light, and generally I'm going to wear a crew length or a little higher up the calf length sock, but in water, there's nothing better than a darn tough sock, in my opinion. They are fantastic. Your feet don't get cold. They almost feel like once you get wet, when you get out of the water, that your feet are dry. They really pull the water away from your feet. They don't get stinky. They dry out relatively fast. However, the downside to these guys is once you come out of water and get into sand. So with the first socks I showed you, the regular Injinjis, they do okay if you're in water just a little bit and come out into sand, but eventually any merino wool sock is going to fill up with sand and it's going to tear your feet up. So it's really important that you're checking your feet, especially coming out of water into sand. If you're coming out of water just into regular forest, you're fine with keeping your regular Injinjis on or doing the liners with the Darn Toughs. But if you come out into sand and you're going to be in sand for a while, or your shoes are getting sand or mud that's going to dry in them, it's eventually going to cause blisters and all kinds of problems if you keep those socks on. So let's talk about your option with that next. So you're on about a 10 or 20 mile trudge. You've gone through the water, you've been in the water, whether you had your Darn Toughs or your Injinjis on, you're in sand now, and as things are drying out and your feet are starting to feel it, for me there's really only one option. Get those socks off of your feet, dry your feet off. You're never going to get the sand out of them. Trust me, you're never going to get the sand out of them until you wash them really well. So what I go to next is a plain old high quality poly sock. So a nylon or polyester sock. You know, I know they say cotton kills, but I think you could probably go with a cotton blend too. I just happen to use a polyester. So that's the sock situation, and just wanted to make sure. Oh well, it's that time of year. That's the sock situation, and I just wanted to share that with y'all. Hopefully you found it helpful, and that's just worked well for me, as well as a lot of other people that I've talked to. But I will say, if you only had one choice, then I'd probably go the Injinji liners with the Darn Toughs if I could only carry 2 socks with me, because if I got into sand, I could always just hike in my Injinji liners. So that's about it on what to put inside your shoes. I don't really use an arch support or anything like that. I know a lot of people do, but I don't use one. Don't have a real need for one. So you can look at other people's videos for that. So that's about it on the sock thing. All right, folks. Well, that's about it for this little adventure. So hopefully thinking a little bit more about your feet and what you're doing on your feet on the Florida Trail and other Florida trails is hopefully the information we have for you is a little bit helpful. And if it was, and you enjoyed hiking with us through here at Jennings State Forest, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, and hit that little bell, and you will get to see other videos as we put them on in the future. So anyway, hope to see you out on the trail real soon. Happy trails, everybody. Bye-bye. There he goes. Off to the woods with you. Bye-bye now. Go eat some rats or other bad things.